number 1. This again is for everybody. Good luck. Here we go. There's a lot of green. Looks like it's going to be a green. And it's Michael Conley, maybe? Yep, Michael Conley. All right. For the second spin, this will be the Steve Atwater. Here we go for Mr. Atwater. These are all legendary status members. Oh, it's a little glitchy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, it's Mr. Frazier. Hey. There you go, bro. You won something. All right, everybody, welcome. It is a very snowy, cold Monday here in Northwest Arkansas, here in Springdale, where I'm at, where the studio's at. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo. There we go. There we go. Yeah, what's up, John Haas? How you doing? John Haas. Bumbles Bounce. We got a Tuss Talk with Ty YouTube member in the house, in the hizzy. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Arkansas going to take on A&M. I mean, really, I struggled with the title of this video. I'm not even going to lie. I struggled mightily with the name of this video, with the name of this live. So make sure you guys do me a favor. I say it. I promise you, I'm not just saying it to entertain myself. I mean it, and I appreciate those of you who do this. But please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. If you've got any questions or comments, please fire away in the chat section. I realize most casual basketball fans are done. I get it. You're done. Ship has sailed. You're over this. It's going to take Arkansas. It's going to take Arkansas a lot to bring fans, to the casuals, back. Tickets are going to come down. They're already down. People are trying to give them away. I've now had 2 different people ask me about if I wanted tickets or not, and unfortunately they weren't digital, I guess. So that's about the only way I'll take tickets is if they're digital, so I can give them away here, which would be completely free, by the way. So if you do have tickets, hit me up, and you don't want to go. Game on mute, says Megan. What's up, Megan? Who's new to our Discord, by the way. New-ish. She joined, last week? Is that right? Welcome. Hope you're digging being a Patreon supporter and in our Discord. What's good, bro? What's up, Wild 70? Wild West 70? Good to catch live. Farrell, how are you? Hope all's well. Legendary status member. We got 2 legendary status members in our live chat. Woo Pig Pod, no member, but I'm pulling up the show to show support. I appreciate you, Woo Pig Pod, as always. Thank you for coming through. Yeah, we're gonna go over some stuff. We're gonna talk some hog metrics. At this point, if you're watching, you really are. You're just a supporter of the channel, which I thank you so much. Or you are a diehard Razorback basketball fan. I mean, maybe you're both. But I get it, man. It is so hard to even look at numbers right now. And when I am an analytical guy, I may not understand all the numbers. There's a reason why I kind of subscribe to, when you're talking football, the PFF stuff. I love looking at their deeper, when they're talking about like passing depth numbers and allowed pressures by offensive linemen and where guys are lining up on the defensive side of the ball. I love that stuff. I eat it up. I don't always understand it all. I don't pretend to be an expert in the field, but I certainly I just like I like learning and reading into this stuff. And when you look at Arkansas basketball, when you go into some of the deeper analytics, it is just abysmal how bad this team is, especially on the defensive end of the floor. And that's what's crazy. That's what's crazy. Offensively, at their best, they're capable of being a top 3, top 4 scoring offense. Easily. At their best. But they're just so wildly inconsistent. All right. Patreon supporters. Oh, we're at 99. 99 Patreon supporters, my guys. Holy crap. Oh, my goodness. And sponsors help make all this possible. By the way, shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company. They operate out of Central Arkansas and here in Northwest Arkansas. They'll help you out. All right, they've got your back. Trust me, I wouldn't have them on as sponsors. Well, I mean, Travis is my boy, but still, hundreds of 5-star reviews. Give them a call today at 501-244-3667. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. They'll come give you a free estimate. So shout out to Direct Service Overhead. And, of course, the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzaria, by the way, is open today. They are open. So, I don't know. If you got nothing, you're hungry, you're wanting a pie, or maybe you're wanting a local IPA on tap, they got you covered. Great staff, great environment. That's the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria located on Emma Street in Springdale, not far from down the road. I get text messages from RL people. Obviously, hopefully you guys don't have my real phone number. That would be a little problematic. But I get text messages from people who go, and they're like, bro, come on, we're down here. And I've gone. Ask Travis. You text me, bro, I'm down the road. I'm here at the Odd Soul. I'm there. I might even eat some of your pizza. Yeah, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. What's up? Is that Steve Brimley? How you doing, man? He's also a supporter of the show. He's been around for a minute. Appreciate you, bruh. Appreciate you. 3D glasses. Yeah. Ty, this basketball season is contributing to the fan base PTSD. You know what's wild? What's wild about this season, or past seasons, rather, is how Arkansas has gotten off to some horrific starts the last 4 years. There was a graphic on ESPN during the last game. Their another atrocious effort by Arkansas. It was a graphic that showed the last 4 seasons. 2020 and the 2021 season, they started off 2-4. Now, okay, whatever with that season, right? 2021, 2022, 0-3 in conference play, which is where Arkansas is at right now. 2022, 2023, 1-5 in their first 6 games. They have had horrible starts in every one of those, or those years didn't end up as bad. Didn't end up as bad in 2022, 2023, or 2021, 2022. That's a combined 1-8 start in those 2 years. Is it completely over? Listen, based on what we've seen so far, and when you talk about how deep of a hole they have put themselves in, God, it really seems like it's over. It really does. Now, I don't subscribe to that idea until we're about 8 or 9. Let's take a look at about 6 or 7, 8 SEC games in when you're about at the halfway point. Let's see where they're at. But the net rankings are not their friends. Their net ranking is I mean, you guys know. It's bad. They dropped all the way back to 113. 113 according to net ranking. 1-3 on neutral floor. 0-2 on road play. They're 8-2 at home. I'm kind of surprised they're 8-2 at home, to be honest with you. I know they are, but just thinking about it, like saying that out loud, it's like, wait, they actually are 8-2 at home? Yeah, I mean, they play mostly scrubs, but still. 1-5 versus who net rankings claim are quad 1 right now, which I'm going to tell you that's going to net ranking is it's being considered to be more legit even earlier in the year than it has been in more recent years. I guess there's just something to it even early in the year. But I mean, like, look at Houston. Houston going into conference play everyone was like, oh, Houston's easily a top 2 team. What's their conference record right now? I think they're 1-2. So, like, What are you really? Like, Ole Miss goes on the road and gets absolutely smashed against Tennessee, although Ole Miss still looks pretty damn good since that loss. Arkansas's 3-1 in quad 3, and they're undefeated in quad 4 at 5-0. We're going to get into this A&M game, but who would have thought? Who would have thought coming into this season, even before the Purdue exhibition game, that things would be this bad? And then after the Purdue exhibition game, you beat Duke. And I'm not even sure you played like maybe it was your best game of the year. After all, you did beat Duke. Especially when you consider the quality of opponent they are, right? When you talk about talent and the history and all that, history gets thrown out the window. I get it, especially in the era of NIL and transfer portal, but still, like, it's just crazy to think how wildly inconsistent this basketball team is. Rinse, repeat, copy, and paste every single time we talk about Arkansas basketball. Here's what's even more depressing. Okay, not to just completely piss in your Cheerios right now. I promise you I'm not trying to. After you lose to Oklahoma, right, by 9, we all know that game really was like a 20-point. It might as well have been about a 15, 20-point loss. Oklahoma controlled that game from start to finish. They let off the gas a little bit. Arkansas was able to make it a little bit more of a challenge, still losing by almost double digits. Then you go on a 3-game win streak. Lipscomb, Abilene Christian, who you only beat by 10. You beat Lipscomb by 3. And you beat UNC Wilmington, who had previously gone on the road to Kentucky and beaten them. Wilmington did. So you beat them. You beat them quite easily. You run up and down the floor on these guys, and they do manage to score 90 points. By the way, they're riding since Arkansas. They're 2-2. Since playing Arkansas, UNC Wilmington is. They have an 11-5 overall record. But here's where it gets depressing if you're Arkansas. I mean, you know where I'm going. Since that game, you're now riding an 0-3 conference record against Auburn, 83-51. At home, the worst loss in Bud Walton Arena history. That hits, man. That hits you in your Razorback heart, in your hog soul. It hits you deep. Auburn, and I've told you guys, I've said this even going into that game. I said Auburn's capable of winning by double digits. And again, I didn't take claim of that game of being right because I didn't think they'd come in and do that. I didn't think they'd come in and beat you like that. They beat the shit out of you. Like they took off their shoe. They whooped that ass. God, that hurt. Oh, that hurt. They whooped that ass. That's what they did. In your own building. Then you go on the road against Georgia and you lose by 10. 76-66. And then you get throttled again at Florida. Your average margin of loss is 20 points in conference play. I had someone comment like, it's the negativity. I can't do it between you and these other podcasts, and these other shows. I just can't do it. The negativity. Give me something to talk about. Oh, they sure do block a lot of shots. What the hell has that done for them? Oh, they sure can get to that free throw line, Betty Joe. They sure can get to that free throw line, yeah, but they shoot like sub 69%. Like, what the hell good is it if you can get to the free throw line? You can't. I think it's like 65%. Whatever. What good does it do? What good does it do if you can't make your shots at the free throw line, Jalen Graham? They're like a level of bad that we've never seen. They're a level of bad that we have never seen, at least in the Musselman era. Maybe I'm having like brain farts early on in his career here. I don't know that that he ever looked this bad at Nevada. Again, I'm not. Listen, 0-3 scores. We've seen some bad games, and Arkansas picked themselves up. You go back to, or even just bad losses, like when they lost to Hofstra not that long ago. What was that? 2 years ago, whatever. And they picked themselves up and they found a way. All right. Now you got A&M coming into town, 8 p.m. tip off. Those sons of bitches. Those. Why? We got to get them. Hey, we got to make room for everybody on TV. Listen, I put it on SEC double plus for all I care. 8 p.m. tip off, man. You're killing me. And it's not the last one. They've got they have so many 8 p.m. tip offs. I know it's every year. I know, but I'm gonna still complain about it. You bet your ass. And I don't know how many of them are on Saturdays. Like Saturdays, all right, whatever. You don't have to get up early on Sunday. Whatever. I mean, I'm never a fan of anything post 7 o'clock, really. But I can handle 7:30 maybe. But the way the officiating goes in this league, what does it really matter? So again, Arkansas is riding this 3-game losing streak in conference play. They get these next 2 games at home. That's the good news. They got A&M and South Carolina. South Carolina, who kind of surprised us a little bit, right? They're 14-2, 2-1 in conference. Are they a little bit bloated? They got absolutely destroyed by Alabama, 74-47. Earlier in the year, they lost to Clemson on the road, 72-67. But they did beat Missouri, and that's not saying a lot. Missouri's also one of those teams. They're 0-3 in conference play. They went on the road and beat them 71-69. This is why I don't think Arkansas is going to go winless in conference play. I think at their best, yes, we have talked about this 100 times since the Duke game. Yes, at their best they can play, but I don't care about that game. You're now there's that much more film. There's that much more work done on your team. People know. They know. All right, well, let's just play some zone. Look how much easier it seems to be getting to dribble drive on Arkansas straight to the rim. Backdoor cutters are right there. Nobody even bothers to get in the way. Don't even try to foul off backdoor cutters. It is just so simple. Wide open perimeter looks because you can't get off an outside screen. It's just getting easier and easier, and the record and the scores show this. So there's not a lot of adjustment outside of rotation. We're seeing him do everything. We're gonna see more. I think we're gonna see more Bay Fall, maybe more blocker. Hell, I don't know. Pinion. Are we gonna see more Pinion moving forward? I don't know. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I do appreciate you. To put basketball anywhere in the title and on the thumbnail is like a death sentence right now for anyone doing Razorback content. Nobody gives a shit about Razorback basketball. And look, we're fickle. We're all fickle, right? But Razorback basketball fans, Razorback sports fans are especially fickle because they're just tired of it. They're tired of losing. And it's just they've seen this before, and they click or they don't click. That's part of the problem, right? All right, I'm back. Had to run into the Kroger. Oh, well, all right. Welcome back, Haas. Appreciate you. Too many chefs and no sous chefs. Purdue game was fool's gold. You could also argue the Duke game was fool's gold. At this point, Muss needs to keep blocker Pinion, Keon, TB, Marks, Bay Fall, a.k.a. Bambi. Bro, come on now. And develop team around these players for next year. I agree that they need to keep some continuity. They need some guys back from me. They do. And I think that's a big part of the problem. We've talked about this a number of times. I'm just not a fan of these factory resets. on the roster. That's bad when you say that. When you say what? You talking to me? What did I say? 50 people in here. Yeah, get the likes up. Come on now. You can get the likes. You can hit a like button, support your boy. Not even 20 likes. Come on, y'all. Facts, Ty. Can't be into the sport and not know the analytics behind it. There you go. I'm surprised no one's brought up the Rams. Nobody's brought up the Rams in chat. I'm shocked by that. I'm wearing the Rams hat and no one's mentioned it. When they went on their little run to win the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, you guys, there was a lot more talk about the Rams. I guess when you get eliminated, that's just kind of how it goes. We even fooled Purdue into thinking we were good. Well, then Purdue fans were ass hurt, weren't they? Because they turned into Broly last night. No, I mean, they played, all things considered. I mean, Stafford with that bloody stump of a hand. Good luck to the Lions, you know. I'm going to be real with you. I wasn't that impressed with the Lions. Like, the Rams, roster-wise, probably one of the bottom, coming into the year, probably one of the bottom 5 or 6 rosters in the NFL. Of course, they didn't really know what they had, or, you know, I mean, the Rams did, but I'm saying the rest of the NFL certainly didn't know what Puka was all about. Cooper Kupp wasn't healthy for part of the year. I don't know that we got the old OG Cooper Kupp back or not. It was rough. It was a rough year, and then they the last 7 games of the year they were playing really good, a high level of ball. So shout out to McVay and Stafford for turning it around, made them a playoff team when they had no business being one. I mean, it was a good game. I won't talk about the PI that wasn't called at the end of the game. God in heaven, I don't care if you're a Rams fan or not. Should have been called. Just, you know, but it didn't. And the Lions went on to win the game. That's just kind of how it plays. Detroit has some cheap shots on some Rams players. Someone in Discord made a comment last night about, the Rams are already playing dirty. And I'm like, are you watching this game? Like, they both were kind of doing it, you know? But that shot on the former Western Kentucky tight end, Bobby Petrino's guy. I'm brain farting. Tyler Higbee. Good tight end out of college, by the way. This plus football is why being a Razorback fan is so tough, but there ain't nothing I can do about that, says Jarrett Carrot. Yeah. What's up, Talking Beer? How you doing? Should we keep Brazil into play through his mental block, or should we bench him to get Bay Fall and Graham? Well, I don't know what the answer is, because it seems like I don't know what the answer is with Brazil. I really don't. It's a very tough situation when a guy you thought was like this whole team was built around, and based on what little we got to see a year ago and the fact that hasn't translated onto the floor this year, I don't know. I just don't. I don't know what the answer is. I haven't liked Brazil's play. I mean, I think that goes without saying. Brazil has been, I don't know. Like, we keep going back to that Duke game, like, he could do it here. Look what he did against Duke. He's capable. He could be a key piece on the floor, but it almost seems like you could forget about him being out on the floor. Like, you almost forget that he's out there sometimes. And I just did not think that he would sink to this level of, I don't even know if you call it mediocrity. I don't know what you call it. He's just not been that impressive. And again, I think that speaks back to the chemistry thing. It does. His willingness at times on defense. But he blocks shots, right? That's what he does. There's some signs of life there if he can get blocks, and he's altering shots here and there. But I don't know. There's just not a willingness. Someone brought up, maybe it was in a live chat or maybe it was in Discord, that he so often on offense he's only looking for those putback dunks or those cleanup dunks, and it really messes up kind of what they're trying to do underneath. And Muss has to play him because of who Brazil is. You got to keep someone like that on the floor a little bit, right? We've also seen him get yanked. That's that individual saying that. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree. Brazil is a key part of all of this, I think. And I think last year he meshed a lot better with them guys. I think it speaks to that when we go back to 8-10 and we go, well, see, this is just a carryover from a year ago. Yeah, but watch Brazil before his injury. Read all the notes, look at all the numbers, watch his play on video. He's a different player with those group of guys than he is with these group of guys. And again, I think it's a chemistry problem, point blank. It's just not. I don't know. I think he is a key missing piece, I should say, to all this. Not that he's been bad all year. Again, you go back to Duke, you can look at several games and go, well, okay, that version of him is a pretty solid player. We certainly thought he'd be leading in at least a couple more categories statistically, and he's just not. So Arkansas is 9-7, 0-3 in conference. Do they go 0-4 against Texas A&M? A&M, you talk about like what a team can do, like the rebounding and defense is something they can do. They are a solid rebounding team. Coleman this year, I mean, this is in 3 straight games. Garcia with 13 boards against Ohio State. Coleman the third with 15 against SMU on the road. Coleman again with 10. That's 25 rebounds in 2 games just with Coleman alone. Fast forward a little bit further down, he gets 14 and 9 in back-to-back games. Garcia with 19 boards against Houston Christian. But we're talking about Coleman and Garcia. Taylor is, without a doubt, the guy that you have to circle on that roster. If you could find a way to contain this dude, he had 35 against a solid Florida Atlantic team at the time playing great ball. 35 points. The 2 weeks prior to that, Oral Roberts at Penn State, Coleman had 19 and 24. Radford had back-to-back 21-point games. But again, it's about Wade Taylor. He has scored 30 or more points in 3 different games. They've had a number of 20-plus point games. And yet, offensively, they're not really anything to write home about. They're top 200, just barely a top 200 scoring offense at 75 points a game. But they're only giving up. They're a sub-69, sub-70-point allowed team. They're a top 10 rebounding team. 10-6. They're 1-2 in conference play. This game is certainly a more must-win game for Arkansas than it is Texas A&M. And then after this, they got to go on the road and take on LSU, who again is better than I thought they were. And then they're going to come home against Missouri. They got to feel pretty good about their next 3 games, including Arkansas. They got to feel pretty good. So this game doesn't have near as much pressure, but make no mistake about it, that's not how Buzz Williams rolls. Buzz is going to take this game very seriously. That is a guy I don't think overlooks a lot of games. Arkansas versus A&M, some interesting numbers here. The Razorbacks own a 106-61 advantage in the series. I knew they had their number. I didn't realize it was that bad, including a 61-15 score sheet in games played in Fayetteville. The 106 wins are the most wins for Arkansas versus an opponent. I mean, they flat out own A&M all time. However, since joining the SEC – in the 2012-2013 seasons, season. Arkansas owns just a slight 11-10 advantage in the series. The home team has been dominant in the series since A&M joined the SEC, with Arkansas holding a 9-1 advantage in Bud Walton Arena, and the Aggies owning a 7-2 home record against the Razorbacks. Arkansas has just dominated these dudes. Taylor torched us a year or two ago in the SEC tournament. He's just a monster. Hey, do me a favor. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate it. If we still had Anthony Black, all our issues would be fixed. I think it goes well beyond that. I think you talk about Anthony Black. What else would they be missing? How about an Adese Toney, Jalen Tate, Stanley Amude, Trey Wade? The willingness to do what it takes type of player in a Jalen Williams, that's what they're missing. Yeah, I think Anthony Black would be it'd be nice to have had him back this year. You could say the same thing about a number of those cats. Walsh. Watch that dude last year. Watch his highlights from a year ago. He was just a go-getter, Not always smart defense, but Ty, the question going forward will be, can this basketball team play for just pride if the losses continue to pile up? That's a good question. You'd have to ask them. At that point, assuming it gets there, and I think it's likely that it does. I think it's likely that it does, really. Another thing, Arkansas, again, this isn't shocking, right? This isn't breaking news, but Arkansas getting out-rebounded like crazy. Florida, again, an elite rebounding team. They out-rebounded Arkansas 48-31. God, that's awful. I'll say that again. Florida out-rebounded Arkansas 48-31. Arkansas had just 9 offensive boards. Florida had 15, again, something they do really well. We talked about it going into that game. Also, Florida managed to shoot outside at about 36%. They were 9-25. Looking at Georgia, this is another game where you get out-rebounded, although not near as bad. 40-39. They had 9 offensive boards to Arkansas's 10. Arkansas, however, in that game, they had 15 turnovers, right? And just 11 assists. Arkansas and Auburn. Auburn in this game, 46 rebounds to Arkansas's 32. I mean, they're just getting destroyed on the boards. Another game, Arkansas with 13 turnovers, just 8 assists, just 7 offensive boards, 8 total assists to 13 turnovers. I mean, it's so many areas of concern for this team. I don't know. Is it completely hopeless? I think we could all agree. It certainly feels like it's certainly feels like it's leaning in that direction, that it is completely hopeless. Again, A&M, not exactly. I'm going to take the glasses off. Keep the beanie on, however. No, you know what? Yeah, I'll keep it on. I'm proud of the season my Rams had. Did not think they'd get to the playoffs. Not a great way to in your that wonderful run they were on there at the end of the season. You'd like to have advanced at least one game in the playoffs. But anyways, again, A&M's given up 68 points. They're an elite top 10, top 8 rebounding team in the country. They do a number of things really well. Their scoring offense, however, they're just not a really effective scoring team. They're not that. They're behind Arkansas. That's 74 points a game, 74.7. That's 180th in the country. Arkansas at 78 points a game. That's top 90 in the country. Anytime you're in the top 100 in any given category, that at least means you're vanilla. Like worst case scenario, you're just kind of average. Their scoring defense, again, they're only giving up 68. A&M is. That's 100th in the country, in the entire nation. Arkansas, however, this is what we were talking about when you dive into the analytics, just how bad things are. 312th in scoring defense, giving up almost 78 points a game. A&M not an effective field goal percentage team. They're awful. I mean, they're at 333rd in the country, 40%. That's in field goal percentage. Arkansas's in top 150. They're at 45%, almost 46%. They're not a great 3-point shooting team at 342 in the country. Arkansas's 224th in the country at 33%. Okay, Arkansas's higher in free throw percentage than I thought. I thought they were 65. They're 71. 71%, which is 179 in the country. A&M's 213th here. And again, rebounding, they're a top 10 team, almost 44 rebounds per game. Arkansas, 142. And another category, too, that's pretty telling, steals. Arkansas, when you think of we always talk about the athleticism. Well, that tends to show up somewhere. And typically when you look at some of the guys they have that can play with a little bit of speed and the athleticism, maybe they're not a forward, they're not a guy playing down low, but they're guys that you would think could rack up some steals. Minifield, who's losing minutes, Devo, Blocker, who's I'm thinking is going to get more minutes. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Pinion. I mean, he's handsy. He may not be super athletic, but he's at least handsy. Watch him. Watch him in transition. He gets a little active. And I like that about him. And I think he's mentioned that before about with Devo. I want to say like last year he talked about Devo and, getting your hand in there in transition. Maybe I dreamt that. I swear I remember him talking about that. But it's not showing up anywhere. And it's not showing up in steals. Arkansas's 5.6 steals per game, which is good enough for just inside the top 300 at 294. A&M, however, they can do it. They're capable of 8 steals a game. That's top 80 in the country. Wade Taylor's gonna start things off for them. 6 foot, 175 pounds. Their other guard, Tyrese Radford. This is a guy that can score points. If he's not going to do it, then of course we know Wade Taylor's going to do it. Wade Taylor is him after all. Containment on Taylor. You can't stop him, but you can hope to contain him, and that's what you got to do on Wade, who's 6 foot, 175 pounds. I've been watching video on him. Very quick to the iron, very quick. He could toss floaters. He's a very aware. He's got a high IQ. Watch him in transition, especially on offense. This is a guy that's north of 4 assists per game and 18-plus points a game, averaging 2.4 steals. Wade Taylor is as good as anybody has played all year. You've also got Tyrese Radford, who's about 6'3", 6'4", 190 pounds. Wildens Levesque, 6'11", 250 pounds. Henry Coleman, who can be effective on the boards, averaging 8 rebounds a game, like we mentioned. 6'8", 245 pounds. And then they've also got Hayden Hefner, who's 6'7", 6'6", about 190 pounds, who's good for 9 points a game. So you got your hands full here. This is a talented roster. This was a team I thought coming into the year was one of my favorite 4 teams coming into the season. Between them, Arkansas and Tennessee. Boy, do I feel like I've missed the mark. A&M not off to the kind of start they thought they would have, but they are certainly a team that is capable of walking into Bud Walton based on what we've seen lately, because I factor so much of how I judge every matchup. I factor that in so much. However, also in the game of basketball, man, you can turn it around against the best of the best. Do they do that here at home against A&M? I don't know. I'm taking A&M, but this has the feeling to it that Arkansas could maybe get something here. Maybe they can get something going. Because if they can contain Wade Taylor and they don't let Radford step up scoring-wise, they don't let Coleman have a 20-pointer. They got some guys that can come off the bench. But those 5 guys are tough. It'd be nice to get them into a little bit of foul trouble somewhere. Arkansas is good at that. That is like the one thing. We talk about things that show up. It's getting opponents into some foul trouble. That's something Arkansas can do. They can get to the free throw line plenty, and they can get somebody in a little bit of foul trouble. That won't be Wade Taylor, but maybe you can get one of their bigs, and maybe you could force them to ride the bench a little bit, go ride the pine and take advantage. But A&M is just I'm taking A&M. I just think they're quality opponent. It's a good matchup. It's not one that I look at like the Auburn game or the Florida game or the Georgia game, although it resembles a little bit of Georgia. If I had to compare them to anybody, maybe Georgia. But they're also a mix of Florida because of their ability to rebound. It's going to be a tough matchup. Boxing out's going to be pivotal. We know how they've done there. They're getting destroyed on the boards. So yeah, I'm gonna take Texas A&M in this game, but it's painful. It's painful. It's painful, and I think that'll tie it up for them, right? All time since they joined the SEC. What's up with painted fingernails? Just because we play like sissies? Yeah, all right, that's silly. But history says, what about the Razorbacks? Says Brian Fraser. I can't cope anymore if our defense doesn't turn it up. When we turn up, we lose out from here. Muss isn't making them miss dunks, layups, and free throws. I've never seen a team also. Not only do you go with the atrocious defense, transition defense is, it's kind of like, who cares? But then it's their inability to finish off layups. They miss dunks too this year. Like, they do so many things horribly, and yet they're still capable of being a decent offensive scoring team. They haven't done it in SEC play. Arkansas's not really done that in SEC play. We've not seen them turn it up in the SEC. They've scored their most points in their first 3 games are 68 points. They scored 80 on Duke, 97 on Furman. They at least scored 70 on Oklahoma, 106 on UNC Wilmington, 83 on Abilene Christian. Not that those mean whatever. 72 in their loss to UNC Greensboro, and they almost scored 100 against Alcorn State. But, Memphis, they hung 79 on Memphis, 77 on Stanford. I mean, I don't know, and they're just so, you just don't know what team's going to show up. And A&M, they're not going to score a season high of points on A&M. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, again, taking A&M here, this would be a big win. But I'm a bigger fan of, can you do it consistently? Can you string together some wins? You have an opportunity here because A&M hasn't played to their best ability yet this season. I mean, again, who would have thought? I certainly didn't think they were going to start off 1-2 in conference with just a 10-6 overall record. I thought they'd be at least 12, 13 wins coming into conference play. At least. Right now, Arkansas and A&M both off to slow starts. Arkansas off to the slowest of starts between them, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. Who gets their first conference win? Missouri, Arkansas, or Vanderbilt? Missouri's got to go to they're losing left and right. They have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've lost 6 of their last 7. Lost to Wichita State, they beat Wichita State, 82-72. They went on the road and they beat Minnesota 70-68. They did lose to Memphis 70-55. They scored 101 on Arkansas Pine Bluff. But they got to go on the road to Alabama, then they host Florida, and then they're back on the road against Texas A&M. Vanderbilt, you just never know. They're tricky at home, but I mean they're bad. I mean, and that's a given. But Vandy's got Auburn, at Mississippi State, Tennessee, and then back on the road against Auburn, and then they play Missouri on February in the first week of February. So someone's going to end up with a conference win there between them and Missouri, who are both again 0-3 right now. I think Arkansas gets their first SEC victory before either of them. I think they're capable. I mean, it's tough because not that any of Arkansas's matchups. A&M, I think, is going to be a closer game than they want it to be. South Carolina, again, that's another one of those teams that feel like they were propped up with their schedule. You know, they did lose to Clemson 72-67. They do have a win over Mississippi State. But then they get trashed against Alabama, and they go on the road and they barely beat a bad Mizzou team 71-69. I don't know what to make of South Carolina. They're one of those teams you feel like you're going to have to wait until like mid-February to really know what they're about. Isn't that weird? But it really does feel that way because they have Georgia at Arkansas, Kentucky at home, then Missouri at home. And they do get the benefit of playing Vanderbilt at home, not on the road. So, yeah. All right. Forget 0-3 in SEC play. Forget the weather. Forget no fans. Who's Musk going to start? Is Devo going to even show up? Is Brazil going to attack the basket? I just wish this team was better on the boards. I wish they were a more effective free throw shooting team, and those are not going to sum up all the issues this team has. Transition defense is still abysmal. Their inability to get off screens and play better defense out in the perimeter. It's entirely too easy to just dribble drive right to the rim. It's just too simple. It's too easy. Backdoor cutters are too simple. They're always there, and it's frustrating. And it's like, maybe one or two guys might come out onto the floor and play a solid 2 or 3 minutes of defense, and you're seeing them hustle back in transition, and then they vanish or they get pulled because of a mistake. Paper says, I just want to see the Hogs win something, please, in all caps. Commercial. Sorry, Brian. I mean, I do not have it set to run ads. If it's running ads, I'm sorry. Just watch them a couple possessions. They won't stop the ball, says Cheesy Skull. Lady Razorbacks won at Bama. What is their record? I don't cover them, so I don't really keep up with them, but well, right now they're doing all right. 14-5, 2-2 in conference play, 7-3 at home. They got LSU on the road. Yeah, they went to Alabama and won 77-59 yesterday, and they got to go. They need a 7-day break, and they got to go to LSU. And then they come home and they host Kentucky, who they lost to inside Rupp just by 10 points. So they're going to get maybe a revenge game. Yeah, I don't know, man. If you want to watch a better product on the floor right now, it's the Ladybacks. It's not the men's. It's just not. Baseball season will be here before you know it. Man, oh, man, I wish Texas and Oklahoma were in this year. I really do. There's nothing like watching in a conference setting, having Texas come to Baum Stadium, or even Oklahoma for that matter, and see them with the SEC logo on. I can't wait to see that. We got to wait a little while longer, but again, you guys, some of you asked me to cover baseball, and I would love to, but I mean, you think it's bad with how basketball is right now and how nobody gives a flying shit. You ought to see when I talk baseball here, even when they're winning, you just have to have a channel that specifically covers Razorback baseball, and I have no interest in doing that. I might talk about them on Mondays. I don't know. That's probably what I'll do. I wouldn't mind doing a post game on a Friday night. I might do that. I don't know yet. I don't know how I'm gonna cover that. It's gonna be fascinating. They got to play they're gonna play in Arlington they start off in February against James Madison in a 4-game series in Fayetteville. But then they're going to go to this series down in Arlington. They're going to play Oregon State, Oklahoma State, and Michigan. It'll be interesting to see Arkansas and Oregon State, get back at it. They start off conference play against Missouri? Is that right? Hold up, for real? Huh. I didn't think they started off against. Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay. I thought I scrolled too far down. For some reason, I thought they actually started off against Auburn, but Auburn's the second weekend. They're going to go to Auburn, Alabama. They play Little Rock this year. They play Arkansas State. They're going to go to South Carolina. That's always a fascinating matchup. And they also play UAPB this year. They're playing all the in-states. I can't wait to see OU and Texas play a mid-season game in like Oxford or Lexington and have a tough time at it. Yeah, this is big boy baseball. I've always thought Big 12 baseball is pretty good. Texas baseball, it's pretty good. Oklahoma's capable of being good. We know UT's capable of being really good. But this is big boy baseball. We always talk about, welcome to the SEC in football. No, man. This conference best sport in men's categories, it's baseball. And I don't even think it's close. And now you've got some of these emerging schools that are starting to come up. Tennessee over the last several years. Oh, Tertiary says in football. Oh, I thought you were talking baseball. All right. Again, I do appreciate you guys. Remember to like, share, subscribe if you're new here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. That way as soon as I go live, you get that notification just like that. We'll do post-game tomorrow night. I don't know what that means for the rest of the week. We're at that point in the off season where it's really quiet. There's not a lot going on. It really will pick back up. Well, if Arkansas basketball turns it around, it'll really pick back up, but I don't see that happening necessarily, but I could be wrong. Listen, I picked the Rams to win, and that didn't happen. Certainly thought they would finish at least with 9 wins this year in conference play. Don't see that happening. But we'll see with basketball. But things will pick up. Spring camp is here before you know it. Of course, I'm going to talk a little baseball, and we'll get into all of it. I'll try to cover it to the best of my ability. Don't forget, we're going to have final signing period in February, and they've still got some room with these with the scholarship distribution. So we'll see what they do in the transfer portal. There's been a bunch of high school offers go out. I mean, there's so many, it's almost impossible to keep up with them all. But I do want to get caught up. On the in-state talent for this upcoming season. I want to do more of that. I want to cover more in-state talent. And I don't know. Maybe I'll bring some people on to talk about it. I don't know yet. To talk about what's going on and because I think this class, it'll be top-heavy as it always is in Arkansas high school football. But, man, there looks to be some pretty solid talent in the top 10, top 12. So just, we'll try to cover more of that. Not now, obviously, but in the near future moving forward. So, all right. Again, appreciate you guys, and I will see you tomorrow night in the postgame show. Spin number 1. This, again, is for everybody. Good luck. Here we go. A lot of green. Looks like it's going to be a green. And it's Michael Conley, maybe? Yeah, Michael Conley. All right. For the second spin, this will be the Steve Atwater. Here we go for Mr. Atwater. These are all legendary status members. Oh, it's a little glitchy. Uh-oh. Oh, it's Mr. Frazier. Hey. There you go, bro. You won something.